I finally ended up getting around to recording this episode. I want to apologize for not having it out early like I had planned. This is episode 10, and I'm super excited about that because it's been a while. Episode 10, I'm super excited for this. And I never thought when I started this that I would even get to 10 episodes. And for those of you who maybe have followed, this is probably, I think, the third or fourth restart of the Majin cast. Originally, I had come up with the idea way back in 2016, 2017. And I actually recorded, I think, 3 episodes with a buddy of mine, Verdo, who, those of you who may know, used to be very active on the site, writing the Dragon Ball Z fanfiction called Dragon Ball V, which you can still get to on the website. It takes you to his fanfiction.net profile with all his chapters and all that stuff. You can read it. So we tried. I did that for a while. They were very political because he's a very political person. And I thought it would be an interesting kind of dynamic because I am not very into politics and he is very much into politics. But it ended up resulting, I did 3 episodes. They were very, very long. They were like 3-4 hours long. And not that they didn't give it enough time to cook. It's just, at the time, it was a lot of heavy editing on my part, and then our times didn't line up, because I think he was going through a transition in his life at the time. So there wasn't a whole lot of time. And then, it came down to the fact that, he never got back with me saying, hey, are we going to do this, and all that stuff. Then there was another try where I tried to do a podcast by myself, and it didn't work out because I just couldn't come up with any kind of ideas. Trying to more or less talk to yourself for an hour or so was kind of difficult, and I was always trying to shoot for like a 2-hour mark and everything like that. And then me and Mr. J started one. I have posted some episodes on this run. Mainly we were just trying to do like toy talk. And the reasoning why I decided to kind of like, I didn't put a kibosh to it, but it's just like, I didn't really feel like it fit. Like a podcast called the Majin Cast and all we were talking about was toys just kind of seemed it seemed not the right fit for me. But I have, I think episode 3, I think maybe I have kind of re-edited it and posted some of those episodes up just to have them up. So if you've been listening since episode 1 and you've noticed that all of a sudden I had Mr. J was on, that was previous episodes that I attempted. And then I restarted and I recut episode 1 that I had did a long time ago and re-edited it with a new episode that I recorded. And that's kind of how we've gotten to this point. And while I have taken a little bit of break there, I've been pretty consistent now for 3 weeks now, doing I think 3 weeks now in a row now that I've hit an episode. And a lot to talk about this week. A lot of good stuff. I did finally get around to coming up with a decent schedule and for MajinPlanet Reacts, and that it's really helpful. And some people who might be like, if you've wandered on to MajinPlanet Reacts and then you go, wait a minute, I've seen these before. Well, it's because you probably have. If you're a viewer of MajinPlanet TV, like Gojuger and Gav and Ultraman Arc, we're all on MajinPlanet TV over the course of this year. I ended up taking them all down because I got a copyright strike, which I don't know if I've talked about yet on the podcast or not. I don't know if I've said anything about it yet. But I did get a copyright strike 3 months ago from a Gojuger episode, which was kind of random. And I decided not to fight it because it's Toei, and it's just kind of weird because the episode that got hit didn't really have a lot of views versus some of the other ones. So it was a little weird to me. So anyway, I ended up taking all the episodes down. I even took down Ultraman, even though it's a different company. I just didn't want to risk getting a second or third copyright strike and losing the entire channel and have to start all over. I just didn't want to risk it. And say, well, I'll risk it now with MajinPlanet Reacts. Well, since I kind of have an idea, now I have a better understanding of how to do reactions and how much I can actually show. I have like 32 episodes, I think, recorded of Gava and like round the same amount for Gojuger. Ultraman, I've already finished it. It's completely finished and everything like that. And so and then Omega, I'm kind of behind on Omega. I need to catch up on Omega. But this way, I'm not scrambling to watch the episode and get it edited and put up. I'm also this time not trying to scramble to get an uncut version up or do a timestamp. Like, I'll do those at my leisure. And also, really, I'll do it like if the fans want it. Like, I've done a couple. The time-based reactions I've already did are still on the website. I try to do a couple extended cuts. I did post those I rebranded the Patreon, but I mean, I don't know if I'm going to even try Patreon anymore. I think I'm just going to leave it. Right now, the site's pretty much free. I have some thoughts in 2026 and maybe introducing an actual paid tier and the only reason I would offer a paid tier would be if people want to see uncut, or even I don't know if I would do uncut like reactions, but I will do extended cuts. And to kind of explain to you what the difference is between an extended cut and uncut. Uncut would be just I show you everything and audio and everything. An extended cut is basically the edited version, but it's still edited. I'm still going to edit it. Like, so it'll probably be like 15 minutes of an episode. So if it's a 23-minute episode, 15 minutes will be shown, maybe even less than that. But basically, it's the same version as the YouTube version, except some scenes are extended and there won't be any like blurring, opacity of the footage, and the audio will be intact. So you can hear the audio just fine. But it'll still be an edited down version, so it will not be the full episode. And it'll still have all of my basic edits and stuff that I do in the video. So that's kind of what the extended cuts are. They're not actually uncut. It's just not as heavily edited as the YouTube version will be. But because of that, I can't host those on YouTube because of copyright reasons. And so I'd have to host those off on a different server, which is going to cost me money. And so unless the community, the MajinPlanet community wants to see those, I am unfortunately going to have to charge for that. And it'll probably be very simple, probably like $4.99 a month. Maybe even less than that. I guess it really depends on the demand and everything like that. But the good news is that if the demand outweighs, the cost, so like if it costs me say $25 a month to have up to $25 worth of people watching, and I end up breaking even every month, I'm totally good with that. Once I break even and then it starts becoming like what quote unquote profit, what I plan to do with that, if I end up making more money like that, what I plan to do is hire an editor, and basically like an editor that I can say, look, this is how I record my videos, this is my style, can you emulate it? Can you match it and then improve upon it? And if I can find an editor who can do that, and I can, say pay him or her a decent wage that they're comfortable with and I'm comfortable with paying and able to continue paying them, and maybe like help with like some bigger, maybe more so help with bigger projects and stuff like that, stuff that I have like a harder time editing and stuff like that. I think that'd be something I'd be looking to do. But let me know, guys. Let me know if you guys are really interested in seeing that kind of stuff. But again, we're looking at 2026 here. I had to have some thoughts before I restarted this podcast. I had two guests in mind. I'm not gonna say who these guests are, but I wanted to see if we build up an audience first, because the last thing I want to do is more or less waste their time. And these are people that are very instrumental to MajinPlanet, and so I'm more or less waiting to see that if we're growing an audience, and it looks like we're slowly growing. We're growing listeners, and I'm hoping if you're listening to this episode that you do reach out and send me an email, send me a question, and I'll more than happy answer it on the show. Share it. Share the YouTube channel, like it, subscribe to the channel or subscribe to Podbean, whichever is more you're comfortable with, definitely do. But it's on the back burner right now. I haven't reached out to them. I have originally asked them if they were interested in doing it, and I got an answer of yes, they would be willing to do it. But I haven't actually gone beyond that and asking, hey, let's set up a time to do it, simply because I want to see like where we're at. And since we're on episode 10, I feel like we're getting a little bit of momentum with the show. I think it'll be something that'll be definitely something that we do in the future. That being said, my magic collection. I tell you what, man, my magic collection, it hasn't changed. I hasn't moved anything in the last time I talked about it. I still haven't come up with a decent way to sort them. I know putting them in folders is not the most ideal fashion way of doing it, but I kind of want to do like, what I've been thinking is like, I'm going to put them in have like maybe 3 or 4 like what I want to do is have a folder that is like, I want to call classic, which this is my collection, one copy of every card that I like that I want to keep, and that like at least keep like as a history. Like this is the history. Like one copy of every card, and everything from like from alpha all the way until like I don't remember what set it was, but whenever they change the border, when they change the art, the card style. And then I want to create another collection box or folder that is more or less 2016 to about 2020, or like into about maybe like to about when before they started doing the IP stuff. Like, you know, when they did I don't know, they didn't do Harry Potter, but like Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings, the Final Fantasy, Spider-Man was the recent one. I want to exclude those because those are separate. And then I'm going to start another collection that's going to be like more modern, like, and then sort everything else. What I want to do is create boxes. And I think because I have a whole bunch of like the standard 1,000 box, like, you know, they're easy to move around. And what I'm thinking about doing is creating like, maybe I might paint them. Like if this is all blue, I might paint it blue or something like that. So it's easy, like visually can see that it's blue. And then sort it by like, and then have like, I'm thinking of having at least 2 play sets of every card. So I have to go through and like, okay, I need a play set of this. And I'm not necessarily looking at like, oh, I have to have a complete play set of 4th edition and 5th edition and 6th edition. Like I only need 8 counter spells. And then I'm just going to pick the counterspell like artwork that I like the most, and that's the one I'm going to use. And those will be my play sets, and I will put those in the box, and then everything else that beyond that becomes bulk that I'm going to sell. The question I'm having with myself in terms of like the bulk is more or less like how do I separate it? Do I do it by like type, like instances, sorceries, creature, artifact, creature, you know, enchantments, like how do I sort it? Like I've seen a lot of people say that like Apple ties it. I'm not doing that. I'm just not gonna do that. But I think if I do it like by like instances, sorceries, enchantments, creatures, enchanted creatures, you know, like that, and then have like a divider in there that says instances, so I can just quickly go, I need an instance, and then I think the best way for me, and it almost appletizes it in a kind of a way, is do it by mana cost. And when I do mana cost, I like to separate it by actual, not necessarily like say 3 and 3, but like the mana symbol. So like if it's 2 blue, all the 2 blues together. If it's a 1 colorless and blue, all those together. And I think that's how I'm gonna do it, but I haven't got to doing the bulk yet. Because I have a bunch of folders. I have a bunch of those 9-pocket folders with the slide loaders that you get like at Walmart and Target, and they're fine and all. But the problem is that the pages are attached, and like you can't. I need to like, okay, I need to find the best kind of folder and then buy those pages where I can remove them. Because right now, if I have to shift stuff over, I have to like, you know, take everything out and then shift everything down, and I don't like doing that. I want to just like be able to like say these are just in there and then put another page in to add more. That's kind of what I want to do. I just haven't got around to doing that because, you know, that costs money, because I have a bunch of folders that I started actually loading cards into, but they're the top loading. And I don't know, maybe you guys know, maybe somebody who's listening to this might be into Magic, or not just maybe Magic, but Pokemon. I also have a Pokemon collection too that I need to go through, or even Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, how do you actually store it? Like, when it comes to the folders, like, do you use top loaders? Do you use side loaders? Like, you know, let me know. So that's something I'm kind of interested to know, and I'm still researching and stuff. So for those of you who maybe you watch Super Sentai, you know of Super Sentai, recently there's been a lot of rumors going around that Super Sentai is actually ending. They're actually going to end the Super Sentai franchise, which is crazy to me because it's been 50 years. And some of the rumors, and I think someone actually said, I saw a Reddit post where somebody actually said that they actually Toei trademarked the name Universe Warriors. And it could just be something, it could be a toy line. I don't really know, but there's a lot of rumors that the Sentai formula has become so stagnated in Japan that people aren't watching anymore, and so sales are down. And then also I've heard rumors that because Hasbro stopped producing Power Rangers, the reach of Super Sentai has kind of slowed down. I find it really interesting because Super Sentai, for the most part, is only really played off, I think, in Japan, maybe in China, basically Asian speaking country, like Asian countries. I almost said Asian speaking countries. Asian countries. I don't think Super Sentai is dubbed in any other language officially, especially not in the West. So it's interesting to me that because Power Rangers now has been basically off the market, basically, since I want to say 2022, whenever maybe it was, I think it might have been 2023 when was the 30, I think 2023 was the 30th anniversary, and you had the little special Once and Always, and then you had the Cosmic Fury, which followed that, which was basically the ending of Power Rangers, and I think that was only like 8 episodes long. It was on Netflix, it wasn't very long, and then there was no continuation, and they skipped so many seasons. They went right back to dinosaurs, so they used the dinosaurs, and then they jumped to the Cosmic Sentai, which I can't remember off the top of my head now. I think it was Cube Ranger. But anyways, it's really interesting to me because Dino Fury was actually I actually thought Dino Fury was good considering what it was being. It reminded me of like the early days of Disney when they did like Mystic Force and like a Jungle Fury. Were all like, I thought were solid shows. Whereas like, Overdrive wasn't that great. I wasn't really a big fan of RPM, which I think was the last Disney show. I don't think I even watched RPM, to be honest with you. I know I watched Go Onger before, like I was in a habit back then of watching I think when Bokanger came out, I watched that. And then I watched Operation Overdrive, and I was horrified. And then I watched Geki Ranger, and then watched Jungle Fury. You know what I mean? Like, I was in a habit of watching the Sentai, and then watching the Power Ranger season that came after that. And then, of course, you had the little hiatus, and I think I ended up skipping Chicken Ranger and stuff like that. But, I had some stuff going on in my life, and I wasn't able to watch Sentai as much. So I was kind of skipping seasons here and there. But anyways, they say like the formula, like, the overall, that's why, they said stuff like, oh, like they've been experimenting. Like, that's why, like, number one Sentai Gojuju has been such a, like, oh, like when they go in, there's only like one mech. Take a sword, basically. Boom Boonger, you had like a sentient being that turned into the mech that basically everybody used attachments to. That was something different that Sentai hadn't. I mean, Sentai's had like aliens basically, but the aliens weren't actually the mech. They didn't turn into the robo and stuff like that. So that was something that I thought was very interesting that Sentai had changed. I think Patter Ranger, Lupin Ranger was supposed to be like an experiment, 3 Ranger team versus each other. From what I heard from a lot of people said they liked that, but I don't know if it maybe didn't do very good in Japan. I don't know, maybe the Cops versus Robber thing didn't do very good in Japan. King Oger was amazing. King Oger was probably one of my favorite modern Sentais. And I don't know how well I did in Japan. And I just find it interesting that they think Sentai is failing in Japan, like the watchers, the kids aren't watching it. And, I understand, like, things get 50 years though, like maybe, and I think it's just maybe it's just not in touch with kids in Japan. Like maybe kids are just not interested in it. Maybe they need to like move into what are they interested in, like in terms of like that type of media, and then try to emulate it. So they've been doing this new line called Robo Universe, which is interesting because the whole premise was, just bringing back past mechs with this like I want to call it Zordlink. And the reason I'm calling it Zordlink is because it actually works with Hasbro, and I think even works with pre-Hasbro, like Dino Charge and stuff like that, and like Ninja Steel, like their mechs were like Zord Builder, and even Dino Fury is compatible with Robo Universe, which is crazy. But like Gojuju hasn't really used very much. There's only been like a few episodes where they've had like past like Red Warriors summon like the mech of their season, or even like where the Gojujus have actually fused with another past mech and stuff like that. Like, so it's something that they haven't really been using. And then, like, some of the rumors, like, the Universe Warriors will be like, oh, like, instead of it being, like, a team of... It'll still be, like, a team, but it won't be, like, your traditional, like, red, blue, yellow, pink, whatever colors. It'll be, like, past heroes from other universes, like Kamen Rider or Metal Heroes. And I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like... And then the other thing is, like, instead of using, like, and the pandemic also caused a lot of issues too. Like I heard that that's why Zenkaiger was the way it was, where the Red Ranger wasn't really a Red Ranger. He was basically a White Ranger with multicolors, and all the other Rangers weren't really Rangers. They were just like mech suits, and then they turned into the mechs, which is not a new concept. I mean, Magic Ranger did that. They basically turned into their Mystic Beast, and then they fused together into Mystic Dragon, and then I think that's a Power Ranger term. But then they turned into, even like Manticore Megazord, like the Legend mode. They turned into their mech, and then when they turned into the Robo, they were inside like a hot pick then, or a chessboard in their case. But, that's why, like, that the season was like that. I love that one. And it was an anniversary season. But then they took the concepts of, like, the coins, like the gears, and then they did Dawn Brothers. And then Dawn Brothers was very, very different. Like, CG, like, you even need actors. They use CG Rangers, which I watched all of Dawn Brothers. I love the music. I think the mecha is really awesome. I've been debating on buying it, or buying a version of it. But it's just one of those things where I'm just like, you know what? Like, I don't know what that season was about. It's one of those things I just don't know what the season was about. It was weird, But yeah, so I don't know how I feel about that. And then you have the whole controversy with the recasting, and I'm not really going to go into that here, but I can't remember her name. I know I should have wrote it down, but the actress who played Dawn Brother Yellow was apparently recast to play Gojo Unicorn. And I've seen some fan art, and I've seen some AI generated images, but I haven't actually seen anything official from Toei. There might have been something, so that's why I'm not going to cover it today. If I do get more information, I'll make a video on MajinPlanet.com about it. I'll write an article about it, or I might talk about it next week. I don't know yet. But let's talk about what I got in terms of my collection, because I got quite a bit. I got quite a bit. And I know last week I talked about KOs, and I mentioned that I had bought the Fans Toys, the knockoff of the Fans Toys Acoustic Wave, and then I also got the New Age Dark of the Moon Soundwave. And those showed up yesterday. I'm recording this, I got them yesterday, and I have actually the Acoustic Wave knockoff in my hand, and I love it. And it came with everything. It came with all the accessories the original came with. It came with Rumble. And it also came with Ravage and Laserbeak. And I'll be honest with you, it kind of sucks a little bit. I would like to display mine in the cartoon version, and some of the parts for the cartoon aesthetics do not fit. Like, they fit, but they're not. The ports aren't tight enough. There are some tolerance issues, like some joints are just really, really loose and don't hold in. And then with the Frenzy, like, his one leg is so floppy. But here's the thing. It's a KO, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with there being issues. Now, if this was the actual Fans Toys Acoustic Wave, and it had those issues, I'd be flipping my crap. I'd be like, no, we're not doing that. I am still on the lookout for the actual official Acoustic Wave, and I'm looking to pay maybe about $250. I think that's about where I'm going to be at for paying for that. And so, yeah, if anybody like watching, you have an Acoustic Wave used or whatever with all the accessories, I don't need the tapes. I'm not too worried about the tapes. If you're looking to sell one for anywhere between $200, if it's just Acoustic Wave out of the box, $200 is my max. I'm not going to pay any more than that. But if it's in box, or if it's in box with a Frenzy, which is what it originally came with, I'll pay $250 for it. If you have Rat Bat, I would love to have Rat Bat. I think Rat Bat comes with the black version, and I'll take that one too. I'm actually okay with that one, because I'm looking at this thing and I kind of want this thing on my desk, like something that like it's just like, oh yeah, Soundwave. It's just like in tape mode, and I can just mess with. Like it's heavy and I like it. But I also need one for my display, because my display now, I have my Megatron, my KO Dakar Soundwave, or sorry, it's not Soundwave, Megatron. And the only reason I have that one is because the official Dakar one is like $500, and it has paint chipping issues. I'm not paying that much money on an aftermarket price with paint chipping problems. The KO doesn't have those problems because it's not painted, and I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. Okay? So, in any case, So I just want to let you guys know. And then the Dark of the Moon Soundwave, I didn't even transform it. It's a little flimsy. It's a little flimsy out of the box, and I could probably look up a video because the instructions suck. Like the instructions they gave you, I think they're just I think it's a photocopy of the original, and I'm just looking at it like I don't understand what it wants me to do here, and I don't want to break it. So, and really honestly, I just wanted him on my movie shelf. Like next to my Lockdown, my Last Night Megatron, and who's the other one that's there? Shoot, Galvatron. I've thought about so for my movie villain shelf, I would probably, I'm not interested to get the Dark of the Moon Megatron because there's only 3 of them out and they all suck. They look great, but they all suck in I transform my figures. They all look terrible. In turn, like the alien attack is just too much paint. The new age one I have been leaning towards a lot, but it's still $300, and I don't want to pay $300 for it. So I'm just waiting to see it. And I think there's a Unique Toys one, which I think is a little better, but it's out of stock. For that shelf, I'm probably, the last thing I need for that shelf is probably the movie Starscream. And then I'm probably going to buy Thundercracker and Starscream, the Decaro Masterpiece. And then that shelf is finished. And I do have a Sandstorm. He's going to stay there. I do like Sandstorm. He was like one of my other favorites. He's green, so I kind of liked him. So, and I got the Decaro one, so I'm just going to keep it. But then for my Soundwave, my Soundwave was going to go with Megatron. And then the other one would be a Shockwave. And then I wanted to get the Magic MMC tapes because they're big, So, and then that shelf would be kind of done. And then, like I said, I think I talked about it last week. Maybe I didn't. I don't remember now. I did get Blast Off, and I did finally complete Bruticus, and I don't like it. I mean, I like it, but I don't like it. I'm not gonna talk about it right now. I'm gonna have a separate video on the channel next week, probably. So I don't have it on the main channel. And then I got my Aerobots, and I'm super, super happy with them. I got the Zeta Aerobots. I got the non-metallic version. They're actually not that hard to transform. I thought they were going to be really complicated, and they are like 8 years old, so it's an 8-year-old. Like, they weren't overly complicated back then. But basically, I got the Zeta ones, and Silverbolt's amazing. He's not very difficult to transform. I've actually transformed him from robot to alt mode into combined mode 3 times without watching a video or looking at any instructions. Once I figured it out, I had to watch a video. I think I watched either Bobby Skullface or Ingo. No, I think I watched Imgo because Imgo had them in robot mode and Bobby Skullface had them in alt mode, because I think when they were originally released singly, they were in vehicle, or they were in their airplane modes, and the box set comes in robot mode. And so it's kind of like trying to reverse engineer. It's kind of difficult sometimes. So I was like, and then I figured out the arm bots, which are both the same. And I really love how they did that. There's some tolerance issues with it, but I really like it. And then the leg bots, and I have a couple issues with those. Combined mode's little issues with that. It's not as stable as I thought it was going to be. And I think it may just because of some tolerance issues and I might have missed transformation, a couple things here and there. But I'm still working on that. And right now, I'm going to probably display them in their jet modes. I have to rearrange. I have to move my Terracons to the top shelf, so I want them in the middle shelf so they're more visible. Terracons I'm not too worried about because they're technically not Masterpiece, because there is no Masterpiece scale Terracons. And unfortunately, my one Terracon broke and I haven't fixed it yet. But they're the Unique Toy ones, so they're more Chug scale. They're a little bit bigger than Chug scale, but they're not Masterpiece. They're not necessarily Masterpiece scale. They're the old scale of combiners before Constructor was released, so around the time Constructor was released. So they're kind of old. They're like 10 years old. They're not new. And then from the Super Sentai side, I went a little bit crazy. I did pre-order the DX Tegasort Origin, which is from the movie, which I have not seen yet. And I did finally get my Gojuger Unicorn. Showed up from Hobby Link Japan. I paid $27 for it, but then the shipping was like another $35. So I ended up paying about $56 overall and got it within 4 days. So that's about the price I would have paid from Togo Collectibles. So I'm not too bad about it. And I actually got the last one from their site. I also got the Universal Tega Sword. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's just it's just a gray version of Tega Sword, because I want to be able to display all the different modes, and I'm going to deploy. I'm planning on, and I got the only thing left to get is Tega June. Missed out on that unless they release something new, which I don't know if they're going to do with only 15 episodes left. They might. There might be a last minute, like, one-time use, like the Orca booster. I did get that. I got the gift set that comes with the Gojuger Wild Ring. So I got that finally. Yeah, that's about it for stuff that I got. But I did do something, and I'm super, super excited about it. So one of my favorite Sentai seasons was Ju-Oger. That is the cube season, where they use cubes. And I love that season. It was such a fun season to watch. And this is when I started, it was around I think it's the 30th. It's the 30th anniversary for Super Sentai. They didn't go very hard for the anniversary stuff. Not like they did with Gokaiger for the 35th anniversary with all the keys, and then like the 45th, and then the 40th anniversary. What was the 40th anniversary? I can't remember now. Well, the 40th anniversary was Zenkaiger. But anyways, I bought the Six Ranger Zord mech. I'm sorry, I apologize for saying Zord. It's Power Rangers. But I got the mech. I got the cube. I got the wild set, so I can make both of those. But then I ended up missing out on the whale, which makes the ultimate form, the ultimate mech, Cube Condor, Cube Octopus, and the 3 auxiliaries, which were like a giraffe, a bat, and I think a polar bear. And there was 3, and there was 2 sets of them. There was the set from the show, and then there was an alteration colored set. So yeah, anyways, I was browsing eBay, and I saw them, and now Cube Whale originally released at $100 in box, of course, and I found one for $100 on eBay, but out of box. And I wasn't sure about buying them, and I ended up doing some research, and the seller is a very decent seller on eBay. They have like their own store, and they've been very credible, and I was like, okay, cool. So I just bought them. And then, of course, cool story, they messaged me and was like, oh, hey, why didn't you contact us first? Because we could have did the shipping, we could have combined the packages. And I was like, oh, well, I didn't realize you would do that. I really wanted these because this actually completes that set for me. I would now have all the mech to be able to make all the different combinations from that season. So I'm just excited to be able to get them at a really decent price, and they look like they were in decent condition. There was no breakage. There was nothing on there about scratches or anything like that. So I was super, super excited. And he's like, yeah, cool. When we get them shipped out to you, if we're able to combine, because I think it was Condor and the Octopus together as one set was like one eBay listing. The 3 auxiliary Zords were another listing, and then the whale was a separate listing. So it was 3 different orders. It looked like he was able to combine the cube, Condor, Octopus, and the auxiliary Zords together, and then the whale was separate because it's a really big figure. So I got 2 different orders coming, and those will be end of the month, being in December. I'm not too worried about. I already got my tracking for them. I'm not too worried about how long it's going to take, because I've ordered stuff from Shozi Store. I've waited months to get stuff. So I'm super excited for that. I'm excited to finish that. As I think I did mention for my birthday, I did buy Lego Soundwave, and I'm looking at building him this weekend. And I did record my build of the Lego Game Boy, which I still have the footage for, and I was going to do my video for it and then post the full build video unedited on the site. Haven't got around to that yet. Probably going to do that next week. I'm probably going to work on that this weekend. But yeah, I also have the Bumblebee, but I haven't built that one either yet. But I really want to build this wave. So, because I'm just excited for that one. So, yeah. And then movies, nothing. I didn't go to the movies last week. I got home from work. I was super tired. Ended up passing out. And then I just didn't feel like going anywhere. So me and Mr. J didn't go do the movies last weekend. And so we were going to see The Running Man, but because I'm interested in seeing that. There's also a Rental Family, which is a Brendan Fraser movie. It was out also. We might see that. I don't know. And then Five Nights at Freddy's 2. That's really it, for movies this year. I don't think there's anything else coming out, which is completely fine with me, because the next movie I watch is going to fulfill my requirements to hit platinum for next year, which is going to give me four free movie tickets and continue to keep my 25% discount on concessions for Movie Club for Cinemark. So I've been trying to watch Wicked. I just can't get through it. Because I thought, I'm going to go watch, because it was a Broadway show based off a book. I thought it might be cool because this Wicked for Good is the last movie. And I was kind of interested to see what they would do. But I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work out or anything like that, if I'm going to get through it. And I might just wait for it to come up on streaming service or something like that and just watch it that way. Last thing that I want to bring up that I didn't actually put in my notes, because I've gotten into a habit of writing notes so I have talking points, is I'm going to be building my own Jellyfin server. I've been buying movies again, and, I was like, man, just like taking the disc out, it kind of sucks. I was like, what if I just turn one of my old computers into like a server, my home server, and then I can just, put all my movies that I own onto that. Because I have the orange brick collection of Dragon Ball Z, GT, and I have most of Super and all the movies. I can just put all that on my streaming service, and then I can my own server, and then I can just watch it straight to my TV without having to pull the disc out. And I have like a whole bunch of movies that I brought with me when I moved to where I'm living now, and I had to take them I took them out of their boxes, and the boxes got thrown away, so now they're all in a CD case, and I hate that. But I also I could just buy generic boxes and get printouts of all the covers and rebox them, but then I don't have the room to place them right now. So that's kind of where it's at with that. But yeah, guys, if you have any questions, if you'd like to send them to me, you can send them to webmaster@MajinPlanet.com. Just make sure you put the subject header of the Majin Cast question, and I will read your question on the air and answer it to the best of my abilities. So thank you guys so much for listening today, and until next time.